What's up, guys, and welcome back to GameBird Weekly. We've got a great show for you today. We're going to be discussing all things Sony PlayStation, the PlayStation 5. They had a huge showcase this week showing off a bunch of games. Collin and I are going to be digging into that, as well as we're going to have a Let's Get Nuts segment, one of Collin and my personal favorite segments on the show. But first off, how's it going, man?
Not bad, not bad. Ready to dive into some PlayStation.
Yeah, me too. It feels like there's been nonstop gaming news the last few weeks, so it's been kind of an exciting time.
Definitely, yeah. It's been an exciting year so far.
Yeah, and we might be getting a Nintendo Direct next week, maybe, or in the next couple weeks. So looks like we might have another really special show showing off what Nintendo's got going on.
We're
But
here to talk about PlayStation, Cameron.
fair enough, fair enough. Leave it to your co-host to call you out on your own show. But with that being said, if you guys enjoy this podcast, please hit that like button, smash that subscription button, and smash that notification bell. We've got new episodes of GameBird Weekly coming out every Friday. We're covering all things gaming. Last week it was Xbox, the week before it was Nintendo. Today is all about PlayStation. And do me a favor, check in the description box below. I'm going to have a link to Collin's channel, Any Games Necessary. He actually just did a review of a game that we're going to be talking about today, a game that was in the PlayStation Showcase. But first things first. I'm sorry, folks. We just got breaking news. One of the best investigative video game journalists is live on the scene with a breaking story. We're going to go over to Chip Douglas.
Hello? Is this thing working? Hello? Oh, hi. This is Chip Davis with some breaking news for you. Rumor has it that PlayStation is coming out with a new handheld that's powered by AMD, and I hope it's good. Back to you in the studio.
And we're back. That was a fascinating report. Good work, Chip. I called him Chip Douglas. His name's Chip Davis. I was testing you, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more from him in future episodes as breaking stories come in. What's wrong, Collin? You look
Just a baffling news report by Chip Davis.
Well, he's the best in the biz. He's got an interesting way of bringing the news, but he's one of the best. But with that out of the way, let's talk about that story before we dive into our first real topic, which is the PlayStation Showcase. Rumors Sony might have a handheld in development, one that's powered by AMD. What's your initial reaction to this? Your thoughts? First off, do you believe there's any validity to this rumor? And if so, how do you feel about it?
I mean, yeah, I think if PlayStation and Sony want to be relevant in the Japanese market, they need to find a way to let people play on the go. So I'm hoping this is less of a half step from them, like the PlayStation Portal, which they said was purely experimental and they weren't really trying to make money on. I don't know if I believe them wholly on that, but that's what they said. So I think it could be a good thing. I'd love to play my digital PlayStation library on the go. And then I know that they're big on streaming, so I do think that this is there's a high possibility of this actually happening. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this one's a tough one. I mean, Sony's at this point, Sony's pumping out more exclusive hardware than they are first party games. So it's weird because the Portal just came out. I didn't see anything in the rumors about this having its own library of games. I don't know if you saw anything about that, like the Vita or the PlayStation Portable. And that's something that I could definitely get on board with. I mean, to me, that's the big selling point. And obviously, cost. I was reading that the plans were for this to kind of be paired alongside the PlayStation 6 and be backwards compatible with PS5, PS4. But I don't know. I like if it's not playing its own unique library of games and it's just a complementary device, it's hard for me to justify the purchase because you got to imagine PlayStation 6 comes out, it's $500, $550, whatever it's going to cost, $600. And then maybe this device is $500 or $450, but you're looking at like $1,000 plus just to add a portability factor, you know? So it's interesting. If the game has its own unique software, that's something I could potentially dive into. I missed out on the PS Vita, and I know it didn't do well in the sales department. I think there's a number of reasons for that. It had a more difficult barrier of entry. It was pricey. It required an expensive memory card that was proprietary, and you know, it just didn't do as well as I know a lot of Sony fans would have hoped. But from what I hear, and I know you were a Vita fan, the handheld had a lot of great software, a lot of cool RPGs and games that are to this day still stuck on the platform.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I did really like the RPGs on
Mm-hmm.
that console. Persona 4 Golden was exclusive to that console for quite a bit.
Sure.
But the one thing I will say is that I think Nintendo's doing it right with you know, having all their games on their one console that is both portable and so I'm not quite sure I'd want to see a PlayStation Portable 3 or whatever they're going to call it
Right.
if it's its own software just because for me personally like I feel like they're less than a lot of the times, the
Sure.
games that are made. And like you have like Insomniac working on a game for the portable system, then they're not making a game for the like
Right.
the home console. So as someone who owns a Steam Deck and really enjoys my Steam Deck, I'm fine with, buying something for portability that's true portability. And
Right.
like I can access my library without having to slave to my PlayStation 5.
Right.
But on the flip side, yes, you mentioned that this might release almost close to the time that the PlayStation 6 is going to be coming out. And so it's just like why are they not going to make it play the PS6 library? It's just a super weird it's weird
Right.
timing. Like
Right.
I feel like Nintendo did it best with, day and date
Right.
portability. So
And
um
for the audience too, like take all of this with a grain of salt. But this is
yeah,
just based on the rumors and the details we have. Who knows? Maybe this is something that would play PS6 games. We have no idea. I imagine if that's the case, this is a very expensive device. If that's the case, so and like you said, Nintendo dominates that space. They've found very cost effective ways to introduce a hybrid console, and it feels a little bit late for Sony to jump in and at least remain super competitive with Nintendo gearing up for what's potentially going to be Switch 2 and Steam Deck doing extremely well in a similar type of market. And again, it's the whole cost thing. Is this going to be a situation where if we get this and the PS6 down the road, gamers are choosing between one of the two because they don't have $1,100, $1,200 to fork out, and that's not even including your first game. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Um, yeah, so this could be just more one of like those luxury items.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is like, if it's intended to be maybe like an add-on rather than like you need this item, I really hope that they go with like an OLED screen
Mm,
and a screen that's larger than the PlayStation Portal.
sure.
Make it like a real luxury item. I think I could get behind like playing some of my favorite PlayStation games on an OLED screen,
Right.
on the go would be really cool. And maybe make it look a little less segmented than the Portal. I know the
Right.
Portal's comfortable, but like, poof, that I don't find that thing very good
It's hard
looking.
to look at, you know.
Eh,
It's it has a face that only a console manufacturer could love,
yeah,
is how I'd put it. Um,
I-
but I feel you, and I think you make a good point about the software. I mean, I think that's something that greatly benefited Nintendo, not having to divide work between teams. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding when you look at what a stellar lineup of software the Switch has by the end of its end of its generation. Is insane the amount of titles. So I think you do make a good point there. The one counter to that, and that this isn't even a guaranteed counter, but my one counter to that point would be that Sony has kind of let go of and cut off some of its fun, zany, weird Japanese development. And maybe a device like this would be a cool place where maybe they're not putting all their big AAA experiences, but maybe they're bringing in more companies like that to bring in some of those smaller, weirder, but unique and cool experiences. Not to say that Sony would do that because they don't really seem to be trending in that direction. But if that were the case, I do think that would be kind of neat and bring back some of that PlayStation charm that we lost, I feel like, this gen.
yeah, like a new Patapon would be really
Mm-hmm.
cool, or like Katamari, or not Katam, yeah, Katamari,
Yeah,
or like
Katamari.
Yoko. Like those would be fun. But like I just see it as like it's gonna make people like mad because I feel like Square Enix is gonna be like, we can fit so many Kingdom Hearts games on this bad boy, and
Yeah.
then people are gonna be like, what the hell? Like why does this keep happening? Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and
It's
don't forget all the numbered Final Fantasy spin-offs that have a
yeah,
prequel that's on cell phone, but the prequel to the prequel is on your new PS Vita 2 or PlayStation Portable 3 or whatever it's called.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I feel yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting rumor. We'll see. We'll see if anything comes from this. I mean, did you want to add anything else as far as Sony and the handheld department goes, or
No, I just yeah, I mean the last thing I just want to reiterate, I just hope it's a step in the right direction versus the portable, the portal.
right, right?
As yeah, so we'll see. We'll
Yep.
see.
Time will
Yeah.
tell. But for
Yes.
now, we're gonna dive into our first true topic. And that's the PlayStation. I I said showcase earlier, but I'm aware that it's not a showcase, so don't destroy me in the comments, folks. It was a state of play. PlayStation
Okay.
State of Play happened yesterday, and there was some big stuff revealed there. Colin, if you want to, or before we go down the list, I'm going to have Colin name off everything that was announced. But I will say, if you were hoping for a big first party exclusive, there was not one to be seen at this showcase. It focused on third party games. So, absence of first party.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Colin.
So here we've got the first announcement, Stellar Blade. They showed off Stellar Blade, Helldivers, Sonic X Shadow Generations, um, Zenless Zone Zero, Foam Stars, Dave the Diver, V Rising, Silent Hill: The Short Message, Silent Hill 2 Remake, Judas, Metro Awakening VR, Legendary Tales VR, Dragon's Dogma 2, Rise of the Ronin, Until Dawn Remastered, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, and then new Hideo Kojima game Fizzant.
Yep.
So, I mean, my thoughts on this, I think this was absolutely a banger. I think you could be excused for thinking this was a showcase because this
Sure.
definitely was like a showcase level state of play. If I am grading it on, grading it on state of play, what the state of play is, what it usually is, I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10. I think Sony's really turning it around with this one. I hope to see more state of plays like this.
Yep.
What about you? What's your
Yeah,
I
I was very surprised. I mean, I feel like, over the time that we've been doing this show, I feel like we've been a little bit tough on Sony from time to time, and that's coming from people who we both genuinely love PlayStation. We've been PlayStation fans since the PS1. And believe me, if you saw Colin's PlayStation library of games that he owns, it's freaking. I think that I have a large collection of games. His is massive. So we're big Sony fans. We have been tough on them, but that's because I feel like we have some genuine critiques and complaints. This is the best show I feel like they've put out. This is the best show I think they've put out in a while. And again, I feel like if I could take one negative from the show, it's what I mentioned earlier, that if you were looking for a big new first party Sony game, we didn't get that. That was not here. But what this showcase did show off was that Sony is in for a killer year as far as third-party games, third-party exclusives go. And I was really impressed with most of the stuff that we saw here today. One in particular that I have not been excited for, that the showing of it really, really blew my way. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10. I think they killed it. But I want to mention that game that I'm talking about because it's probably, for most people, the biggest one of the show. And that is Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Okay, first off, disclaimer, I've never played Death Stranding. I kind of started to fall out of love with Kojima games. Love his old stuff. I love the Metal Gear Solid series. Was not a big fan of 5. I know it's a games media darling. 10 out of 10s for a lot of games media. It just didn't hit the mark for me. I like that kind of campy, very cinematic, heavy, more linear Metal Gear experience. And I don't know, Death Stranding, it just didn't do it for me. It seemed to be met with kind of mediocre reviews, so that even made me double down on not giving it a try. But this trailer blew my mind. This trailer was fantastic. It was weird and wacky, kind of reminded me of a more old school Kojima in a sense. There's a doll character in the trailer, and the doll is filmed in stop motion, but it's the only thing. So it's all
Oh, cool.
It's so cool. They have Troy Baker playing a character that looks like Hideo Kojima's version of The Crow to me, which I
Plays
thought was
the electric guitar.
plays the electric guitar. He looks like
cool.
the Crow. The Crow also plays guitar, by the way. So it looks like him inspired by the Crow, and it was just off the wall. It looked really cool. It looked very video gamey, like Japanese in its storytelling, and that has me pumped. What did you? I know already that you're not a Death Stranding person, so I got to hear, what did you think of this trailer? Because I was not expecting to feel the way I felt after this trailer presented.
This trailer was so good that I'm going to commit myself to playing through the original Death Stranding.
That's two of us.
I'm definitely going to buy that director's cut
Yeah.
one. And yep, I'm on board. Kojima's got me back. I like you. I was not a MGS5 fan. I kind of dropped off when things reanimated as zombies at the end of the first mission. I was like, I don't know about this. And then I heard that it was very story light. I like when Kojima goes very hard at the story.
Yeah.
I like you. I'm a big fan of Metal Gear Solid 4 and 3, and I feel like those ones had the most amount of story. So yeah, this has got me on board. I'm down to play the walking simulator that is Death Stranding 1 just to get more context on what the hell is going on in this trailer.
Dude, it was wild, and the voice acting was fantastic. The game just looked wild, and I like that he's bringing back some of that. I don't know, there's a level of campiness that I know a lot of people who swear by Metal Gear Solid 5 and love that it kind of removed some of that campiness from the old games in the series. I really enjoyed that. So seeing this weird character played by Troy Baker battling with an electric guitar and his face painted like the Crow was just in the stop motion puppet that's your kind of Navi character, I'm guessing. It was just cool in that. Awesome. the lady with the hands that come up and are like the face mask. Just really, really cool stuff in there. So yeah,
Very bizarre.
it'll be interesting. Yeah, that was the showstopper for me. And again, like it was the last thing that I expected to take my breath away at the state of play, and here I am. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that was really cool. And then I'm cautiously optimistic about this new espionage game that he's doing, which is like his other thing, Fizzint.
yeah, it's a weird name.
Uh,
He gets to, he said in that little thing, it's the culmination of everything he's learned. Maybe he's gonna make his magnum opus Metal Gear Solid game that's not Metal Gear Solid, that he'll obviously never make with Konami after everything that happened there.
definitely a weird naming scheme. I mean, it's up there with Transfarring and Revengeance.
Yeah, and let's not forget Death Stranding is a pretty weird name.
Those are real words.
I know, but it's a weird name. So is Death Stranding on the beach is really
Yeah.
really bizarre. Real words, I mean Octopath Traveler, Triangle Strategy, some of these game names these days are bizarro, Bravely Default. Real words like Death Stranding, but freaking weird. Like it's just so
Fizzint.
weird.
Fizzint isn't. I Fizzint a word.
It
Um,
isn't a word. You heard it here, folks.
So we'll
Um,
see. It's a very strange name, but let's do
Um,
it.
But I want to move on to, because we, just mentioned Konami, or I mentioned Konami. Konami had something at this show, or a couple things actually. So what did Konami show for us?
Well, it's very strange that Kojima game and a Konami game showed up at this. I don't know what Sony did to placate Hideo, but I guess it was okay. So Konami showed up.
Lots of money. I'm
Yeah,
guessing
yeah.
lots and lots of money.
So they showed off Silent Hill: The Short Message, which was available that day. I think both of us have played through it, and we will. I don't even want to dive into our reviews.
Yeah.
on it.
So I'm gonna give kind of my brief thoughts about it, but I don't know if you want to drop your kind of like shout out your video that you put out today.
Yeah, so I put out a short. I do like 55-second reviews. I did a short. Spoiler alert, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think it was really good for the time that I spent in it. I just think there were like a few things that didn't hit the mark that we'll discuss. But I want to hear your thoughts on it first.
Sure. Well, for starters, I thought this was a really, really cool experience, and I'm amazed at the quality of this, given the fact that it was free. Shadow dropped free game, no purchase, no play this little starting part, buy the rest if you enjoy it. And the game looks beautiful. It's super. You're in like this abandoned apartment complex that you're playing in, and it is super decrepit and grungy and gross, and the visuals look really, really nice. They do this cool thing. The place is really dark and trashed and nasty, but there's a theme of art in the game. So in this nasty, grungy apartment complex, you're also seeing this really vibrant and colorful graffiti and art, and I think there was kind of a neat contrast there. Sound design was really good. The music was really good. Yeah, this game, it's not really your Resident Evil type horror experience. This was much more of a psychological horror experience, and I definitely got some PT vibes, and where you're kind of like looping through areas that you've already played before. So got PT vibes in it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I got really scared. You get chased by this creature in it, and the level design in the game is kind of anxiety inducing. When you start off, it's not very complicated, but you end up in these sections where you're running for your life, and everything, like the lights are flickering, it's dark, all the hallways look the same because they're covered in post-it notes, and you're being chased, and it sounds like hooves or like it sounds like hooves or like stilts. It's a weird sound, and the game got my heart rate up. It definitely. I want to give you a chance to talk, Colin. So I'm not gonna finish all my thoughts, but this game definitely is very dark in its themes and deals with some pretty serious issues when it comes to mental health. I don't want to say the S word because I believe that if you use that word, YouTube will take your video down. So we'll just say the S word. It deals with the S word. You guys can fill in the blanks.
Yeah, it deals with
But
people unaliving themselves.
But Colin, you reviewed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If I had to give it a review, I'm going to give it just a tad higher. I'm going to say a 7.5. And I'm giving it that extra 0.5 because it's a free experience. And that gives it a little bit of a jump for me. If there's one thing that, or two things that I could say that I think weren't amazing, for me was, I think some of the voice acting was a little corny. Not the main girl, but you have this voice that talks to you throughout the experience and says, like, calls you names and taunts you. I thought it sounded a little cheap. I don't know. There's something a little bit campy to it that wasn't scary, kind of pulled me out of the horror. And then I don't know if you felt this, but I felt like the controls could have been a little bit tighter when you were running from the enemy. Like I felt like that was one area that maybe didn't have the quality of the rest of the game. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that this game felt a lot like Amnesia,
Mm,
The Dark Descent. It was very much like you had to keep moving, couldn't really stay still when
right.
the chase scenes were happening. I think the one thing that this game failed to do that PT did so well
Mm-hmm.
was like the jump scares and like the
Sure.
scares that happened when you weren't running. And like
Right.
I feel like you knew that, like bad thing was chasing you as soon as your character started being able to run and like the music. Like
Right.
there was never that moment of uneasiness when you were just like exploring the rooms, and like
Yeah.
clicking on things. Like, nothing ever jumped out at me, So I felt relatively safe except the parts when you're running, which were truly terrifying. I just
Right.
think that it would up the tension if like, stuff jumped out at you or it got a little bit, freaky in certain parts. And then the other thing, I think it covers those topics, but I think it kind of covers them in like a shallow sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is a free game and it's very quick. Um, but I've played other games kind of like trying to think of the Fatal Frame kind of covers that topic as well and doesn't do a very good job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just sometimes like when they put that in these horror games, I don't really feel like they discuss the mental health stuff enough for it to be like, you know, good enough. And then the other thing is like there's like a weird message you get there's like a weird like monologue at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
game, and like I felt like it was contrary to the message they were trying to convey from the game,
Mm.
which like really weirded me out. But yeah, I think the things that it does very well. I just think that like there are a few things they could have done better. But I mean, it was a
Sure.
free game,
Yeah.
and survival horror is just much scarier when you don't have much what's the word I'm looking for? Like you don't have much autonomy as like like a player. You
Mm-hmm.
can't shoot the thing. You can't, I think there's much scarier when you can't do those type of things, and it's much better in a first person,
Sure.
especially if you don't have like a huge budget.
Right.
Um, which is why we'll talk about Silent Hill 2 remake here soon.
Right. Well, I want
Uh,
to. You made a really good point that I didn't really think of, but I can tell you from my experience playing this game, what you said definitely resonated with me. You mentioned that there's a lack of jump scares or crazy things that get you or happen outside of those chase sequences. In that, so you kind of know when to be scared and when not to be scared. And I didn't really realize that until you said that, because I actually felt that same way, but I didn't start to feel that way until maybe like 30 minutes in, because those first 30 minutes, you have no idea what's going on. You haven't really sunken into the formula of this game. So the first 30 minutes were, as far as just feeling dread around every corner, were at the highest in those first 30 minutes. Obviously, my anxiety was at the highest later in the game when you're being chased through like what's basically a maze, it felt like.
Oh,
But like that dread of like going down the hallway and not knowing if something's gonna happen or grab you or pop out, that goes away, because you kind of realize the formula of the game, and okay, I'm safe until the sequence when my character is able to start, like you said, start running and the music picks up. But I definitely really love psychological horrors, and I hope that we're going to talk about Silent Hill 2 Remake in a moment, but I hope the future of Silent Hill is something more akin to this, and with a bigger budget and a more fully fledged title, maybe they can incorporate some of those more cool, twisty, turny things that happen that are super unexpected at any given moment that you just don't see coming. And that would be really cool. There was a really cool sequence in this game. I don't want to spoil it, but one of my favorite sequences in this game was there's like a school scene, and you're going down this hallway, and these words are getting bigger and bigger, and you're kind of walking through it. Do you know what I'm talking about? And it's like, that was super, super cool. I love stuff like that. It kind of reminded me of the game Fear back in the day. But yeah, I hope to see more stuff like this from Silent Hill. I don't want Silent Hill to end up trying to just be a Resident Evil clone, especially with the success of all those reboots that we've gotten. I'd like to see them try something a little bit different. Maybe, like you said, go that PT Amnesia route would be really cool.
yes, absolutely. And speaking of Silent Hill 2 remake, um, I guess let's mosey on over to that
Let's
one.
dig in.
I'm excited for this one, but I have to say, like, it does not look as polished as the Resident Evil engine, the RE engine. Like, it looks creepy, still looks good and creepy, but like, yeah, I don't know if like playing this one is gonna feel as good as when I played Resident Evil 2 remake, or when the parts I played of RE4 remake. Like, it looks a little bit like the B version of the RE games. And I
Yeah.
know this is a beloved game, but is it gonna hold up?
Yeah, I think anyone who's gonna hold this to a quality standard of the Resident Evil remakes that Capcom's been putting out is gonna be disappointed.
Yes.
Obviously, the money's not there with this team and this development. But like you said, I think this is really cool for people who are big fans of Silent Hill 2. Like, obviously, this is one of the most beloved horror games of all time. So really cool to see that this is at least coming back, and at least they're doing more than just your upresed port. Let's just throw it on a console and upres it with a 4K filter. Like we got with like how Capcom handled Onimusha.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh well, they cheaped out on that. No one's gonna buy it, and we'll never see more in the series again. So I got to give them a little credit that at least they're putting some work into it. You can't hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I was saying I got to give them a little credit because at least they're putting some work into it. But again, I definitely think there's something left to be desired with it.
Yeah, they could have used some more of that pachinko machine money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, I think they did do the remasters already on PS3 for the Silent Hill series.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I have that somewhere. One of my
Right.
box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Anything else?
I want to mention there is a little bit of controversy around this one because there was a major change to the design of this game. They brought it into a third-person RE4 style gameplay, and there's a huge divide right now with hardcore Silent Hill 2 fans like saying, what the hell, they're trying to turn it into Resident Evil 4. It's supposed to be Silent Hill. And obviously there's going to be comparisons when they see it going for that Resident Evil 4 angle, but doesn't look nearly as good as the RE4 remake. How do you feel about that sort of gameplay design for the game? Personally, like when I think back for the old game, and I don't have much experience with Silent Hill, mind you, some of that, I like those scenes that were like isometric and it was like the weird camera angle and it's a little bit hard to navigate. For me, I feel like the third person view is a bonus because the game's gonna control better and feel better. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like making the game more targeted to like a broader audience is going to be the best route
Right.
because Silent Hill is almost like a cult classic at this point, you
Yeah.
know? And I like those, the people freaking out about this, the purists, the gatekeepers, like I think they need to accept that like if a game is going to be successful and like a franchise that you love is going to be successful, it's going to have to like resonate outside of your little, you know,
Right.
section, little group. I mean, I think it would be very cool if Silent Hill 2 Remake does really well and they can continue to do weird things like short message and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, hopefully this time next year we're saying Konami's back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean, it would be nice. It's always disappointing to see a company that used to be so loved with so many killer IPs just completely fall from grace. And obviously, Konami has a tragic story in that aspect. So who knows? Hopefully, hopefully these games do well. I know, regardless of your thoughts on Silent Silent Hill short message and Silent Hill 2 remake. If these games do good, maybe there's a bright future for Silent Hill as a franchise that can sit alongside Resident Evil. I mean, Silent Hill, one of the things I gotta give that series props, very creative and unique, really cool monster design. There's a lot to set it apart from Resident Evil, and in a lot of ways, Silent Hill for a lot of people was the scarier of the two. But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it took away a lot of player agency a lot
mhm,
more often than the Resident Evil games did.
sure.
So we'll see if they stick to that kind of methodology in their future games. Because running around with just a cell phone camera yesterday was definitely scary.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, though. But what else do we got on that list of games that were big that we could discuss? Rise of the Ronin. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, we can go to that one or Stellar Blade.
Let's do
Um,
Stellar Blade. We've seen less of that game. Let's do Stellar Blade.
sure. Stellar Blade, like this one surprised me because it wasn't really on my radar. I think like the near comparisons are completely apt. I think like the whole city rebuilding thing seems super cool. There was a part in there where you unlock the double jump, so could this possibly have like Metroidvania elements?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if you noticed this in the trailer. I did. She was wearing a different outfit like almost every
Every time.
scene.
Yeah.
It's so cool. All the outfits are super cool. I cannot wait to like give this one a try. It looks like a lot of fun. Nier Automata is like one of my favorite games ever, so super excited for this one. I think it showed well. I mean, they didn't show too much of the combat, but like this one's definitely like style over substance, and I'll take that style because the style
Yeah.
is really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I echo that sentiment. Again, this was one that I didn't really have on my radar either. I thought it looked kind of neat. I was like, oh, cool, they've got like a Bayonetta like coming to PlayStation. That's kind of how I felt before. This trailer showed off a little bit more personality. The gameplay looks fun. The boss fights look really cool and fun. So this one definitely was like, oh, this one's on my radar now. This one I'm going to follow. I got a lot of vibes. I don't know if you feel the same way. I got kind of vibes. This reminded me of a game aesthetically of something that Sega would have made in like the Dreamcast days. I don't know why. There's like a Sega vibe to this game. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. I'm like, this reminds me of old school Sega, like making a game like this on the Dreamcast. But it looked really cool. I hope that the main character has personality. Obviously, I'm going to make comparisons to Bayonetta. But one of the things that I love about the Bayonetta series is her personality. You know, she's funny and witty and clever. I hope there's some personality with this main character. I'm not sure how much they're gonna play around with that, but visually it looked awesome. It looked like there's some cool skill tree stuff in there as well to play around with the RPG mechanics. It looked really good. I was really impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the character is going to be Cereza, like
Sure.
super witty and fun. I mean, they were giving off like very, like much like 2B vibes, which
Sure.
is, like kind of robotic, but like after like experiencing certain things kind of grows as a character
Sure.
throughout, because she seemed like very dutiful in her mission. She's like, my mission is
Yeah.
what, to eradicate all, I can't remember the name of the enemies in the game, but like, yeah. So we will see. I mean, I'm super excited.
Mhm.
They have me at city rebuilding. I love that type of stuff.
Yeah,
Like having
totally.
a hub that grows while you're out doing stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
This one releases April 26, 2024, and I will definitely be checking it out.
And might I say, we're going to be talking about some more games here, but this year's getting packed already.
Yes.
Like it is getting tight with games for this, even just this first quarter of the year. But cool. Let's talk Rise of the Ronin. I know it's one that we're both super excited for.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this one looks really cool. You can see the Neo DNA in it. Um, like you're in Yokohama. It looks like there's like an open world city. I don't know if like I couldn't tell based on the trailer if it's like level based like Neo, or it's going to be more of an open world.
It looks open
Um,
world to me. I think it's
yeah,
open world, but don't
yeah.
quote me on it.
The combat looks a lot of fun. I hope this one's a little bit more approachable than Wolong
Hmm.
was last year. Man, like I like to think I'm decent at games, but Wolong just like kicked my ass, man.
Hmm.
I just I was just like,
Right.
this is like I beat Neo 1 and 2. Like I'm no stranger to the Souls-like genre, but man, like I cannot do like crazy parry windows and like 5 different buttons for different types of blocking and stuff. Just like it just hurts my head. So I'm
Hmm.
really hoping that this one is a lot more like casual than um Wolong was.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I'm super excited about this game. I think every time I see it, I'm getting more hyped for it. If I could name this game, if this game had no title and someone's like, "Hey, GameBird Classic, what are we calling this?" I'd call it Neo 3 Sekiro of the Wild is what I'd call it.
There
But
you go.
it looks fantastic, and I love that it's taking place at a time where there's a mix between Eastern and Western culture. So walking around that town that built up by the West was like super cool as a Ronin. I loved that. And seeing some of the stuff that you're able to add to your arsenal, like the flamethrower and like the little hand cannon and stuff like that, was just really neat. It seems like you're going to have a lot of different tools in your arsenal and different ways to approach. Again, I am getting the vibe of a open world experience that I don't know that that's been confirmed or not, but from what I'm seeing with the mount and with the glider, I'm expecting something really open and not linear like Neo or Wolong for that matter. It comes out soon too. What's the release date on that one? It's like
Um,
not too far out.
let's see. They didn't. I don't know if they put it in that trailer. Rise of the Realm, March 22nd.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like right around the corner. This game looks good. It's one of my most anticipated of the whole year. So, and this team, they have not disappointed yet as far as like their Neo games go at the very least.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I can't wait to give this one a try. Like I said, I just hope it's not like so tough that I'm like crying
Right.
every like 10 seconds or like freaking out at things. So we will see.
I think the good news there is I feel like with Neo, and those are two games that you completed. I feel like there was interviews and marketing where they talked about how tough the game's gonna be,
Mhm.
and like the difficulties in it. I feel like I haven't heard anything about that, but well, I mean, it remains to be seen. I think
Yeah,
there's a parry system in it that kind of looked like Sekiro, which Sekiro for me was the toughest Souls like that I've played. I know people who are great at parrying say it's the easiest Souls game. I'm not good at parrying, so I hope that there's a forgiving window. I hope it's not like this super precise, you have to perfect parry or else you're never going to make it through.
yeah, yeah. One thing I will say is that Team Ninja, has been very good about putting out demos
Mhm.
for their games. They
That's
did one
true.
for Neo 2, and Wolong. So hopefully we get a demo for this one. Because I'm really excited to give it a try, and hopefully it's for me. It's a type
Right.
of game for me. But if not, super stoked for all of you like hardcore parry window people.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Now we can just kind of start from like the top, and then if you have anything to say about.
Sure. Yeah,
So we,
that was all the big stuff, right? For the most part.
yeah,
Yeah.
those were the big things. So we got Sonic Cross Shadow Generations.
Shadow
Um,
fans rejoice, I think.
yeah,
I mean,
I
it looked cool. At first, I got to be honest with you. When that trailer first started, I thought it was a new remaster for Sonic Adventure 1 and 2.
no, it's a remaster for Sonic Generations, which is a very, very, very good 2D and 3D Sonic. I
Hmm.
don't know if you played it, but I
I've
absolutely adored that one.
I have not played that one, so I'm a Sonic fan. I haven't enjoyed a Sonic game since Mania, but
Mhm.
if this one's a good one, I'll probably end up checking it out because I'm itching for a good Sonic game. It's about time we get one that hits hard.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Sonic is the game is fun when you're going fast. And then when you get into the harder levels, it's like tedious platforming that gets in the way of what's really fun.
Yep.
I feel like Sonic Generations did a really good job of kind of they basically kind of remade some of like the most iconic levels from the Sonic
Mm,
franchise and put you like in a hub world where you go to each one.
rad.
So like one level you'll be in like Power Plant Zone, and then the next you'll
Right.
be Green Hill, and then the Carnival, and like yeah. So
Right.
like
Right.
and so like there is the old 2D Sonic that you play as, and then the 3D Sonic for like the 3D levels. And then it looked like, I don't know if it's going to be like Sonic and Knuckles, where like but like Sonic and Shadow, where they add Shadow as like a playable character, or if there's
Right.
actually like levels inspired from, hopefully not the Shadow the Hedgehog game, but like
Right.
levels that are like kind of more Shadow themed. I don't know.
Right. The
Um,
shadow gameplay looked really cool, I thought.
yes, looks like a lot of fun. I mean, I think it coincides with the movie that's, on the horizon, so we
Oh,
will see.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
so that is one to look out for. Next one on my list, there's Zenless Zone Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Still looks great.
Looks good.
Can't wait to play this one. Creators of Genshin Impact. I'm sure it's going to be great. I don't really have too much to say about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do.
No, looks good. They've been crushing it. They did Genshin Impact. What's the other one? Honkai
I
Star Rail?
Yeah,
Yeah, which I got to try out a little bit and I enjoyed even more than Genshin Impact. More of a sci-fi turn-based RPG. Really cool combat system, I thought.
yeah. One thing I will say about Zenless Zone Zero, art style looks incredible.
Hmm.
I think the one thing that I can take away from this state of play is like all of the visuals were just really great from
Yep.
this one. Next one, I know this is one that you're super excited for, Foam Stars.
Oh yeah, I have a Foam Stars tattoo. I'm wearing Foam Stars underwear, and I'm on a Foam Stars dating app. So
I I mean, I'm hoping that this one does enough to separate itself from
Splatoon.
Splatoon, but you know, like I talked about last week on the podcast, is you know sometimes you take great ideas from other games and like you iterate on them,
Yep.
and it sounds like from the previews that Foam Stars is doing this, and PlayStation is doing this one correctly. They are releasing it as PlayStation Plus monthly game, so it's going to be free for everyone. I think this one looks really cool. I really like the music. I hope it has the staying power that uh, uh what's the one with the really big one with the cars where you knock the ball in.
Oh, Rocket League, not Rocket
Rocket
Power.
League, yes. Rocket League did the same thing. They released on PlayStation Plus, huge hit.
Yeah.
So hopefully this has a staying power.
Yeah,
Um,
good call on this one. I just want to say, like, Foam Stars never really looked very good to me, but I will say this showing of it had the most personality. This was the most fun trailer they've shown of this game. So not exactly one that's on my radar, but I hope it does well. And I think this trailer specifically looked cool compared to what they've shown before.
yeah, absolutely. Next on the list, Dave the Diver is coming to PS4 and
With
PS5.
Godzilla,
Godzilla. Yes, I put that in all. Yeah, with a ton of excited marks. That looks really cool.
it was
It looks
super
like the
cool.
Godzilla from the latest movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I am stoked.
Yep.
Hopefully that is coming to the PC version because I like to play this one on my Steam Deck. So yeah,
I'm really curious what the gameplay loop is going to be for that. I've only played early parts of Dave the Diver. I haven't played any of the fun weird content that they've put out. So I'm curious how they're going to incorporate Godzilla into the gameplay. Maybe you have an idea.
I can't wait to have some Godzilla sushi.
Mm, there you
Let's do
go.
it. Next one, that looks really cool. Judas from the
Judas
creators
looks
of
great.
Bioshock. Like that female character model looks awesome.
Yep.
Visuals in this look really cool.
This
Looks
one
like more
looks
Bioshock.
It looks like more BioShock, but it looks even more like not in the art style, but the aesthetic looks even more zany and cartoony than BioShock. Like toys and like it has kind of like this weird Alice in Wonderlandy like toy workshop type vibe to it. I don't know. Did you get that vibe too, or
Yes, yes,
yeah,
very much so.
yeah? I thought it
So
looked really cool. I'm excited for
yeah,
this one.
I can't wait to play this one. I mean, my only criticism of Bioshock is like it doesn't have very good boss battles or
Mm,
any boss battles. Like I'm hoping that they throw stuff like that into the game
sure.
rather than the bosses just being like a regular enemy. You shoot in the
Right.
face, they're gone.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my one hope. Next, Metro Awakening VR.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm glad that it seems like Sony is starting to like show why you should have the PSVR 2. It is coming in 2024. This one looks really scary, not really my cup of tea type of game to play in VR, but I'm sure this is going to be a big one for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The other VR game, the one that I am looking forward to, Legendary Tales VR. This one looks cool. It looks like Sony's answer to Asgard's Wrath. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. They need to just, if they really want to get into VR, like, serious about VR, they need to fork over whatever amount of money to get Asgard's Wrath 2 on this thing. But in the meantime, Legendary Tales VR looks like a lot of fun. Really cool that it's multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm one of the two people that owns a PSVR 2, so I'll definitely give this one a try, and hopefully that other person's online.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, you know it. I've complained several times about PSVR 2 on this podcast. I feel like Sony's really dropped the ball on showing people why they should have one, or uh, why you should be excited about PSVR 2 going forward. And this is a great example of, like, I saw this game, I thought it looked super cool, dark fantasy, you're battling skeletons. Colin, this is a weird inside thing. I love battling skeletons in games. It's a weird quirk. I get excited, I geek out. I'm like, oh, dude, we're fighting skeletons, especially skeletons with like armor and like swords and shields and crap. So there was a lot of this in that trailer, and this was one of those games that I was like, man, I wish I could play this game, but I don't have a PSVR 2. And this isn't selling me on a PSVR 2, but if Sony continued to put out unique experiences like this that I could only play on PSVR 2, I will, I'll eat my words and be like, you know what? They proved me wrong, and I'm interested now. I wanna jump in and be part of the PSVR 2 family. So if you pick this one up, I definitely want to come over and try it out, because I thought it looked really cool.
I definitely will. And if you really think about it, everything you're fighting in games is a skeleton.
That's a fair point. That
Yeah.
is a fair point.
Yeah.
The more
Well,
you
I mean,
know.
everything with bones. Yeah. Okay. Next, Dragon's Dogma 2, we got another look. I think the Archer class looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be what I'm going to play. Gameplay still looks very solid on this one. I saw there's a bunch of previews out, final previews out for this one. Can't wait. Can't
Yeah.
wait.
I have yet to watch any of the previews, but I will say every time I see this game, it looks better than the last time. You nailed it. The Archer class looks sweet. It looks like they have some sort of ability that finds all the weak points on the monster, and then you could target and shoot it. So we've gotten a lot of cool little deep dives of different classes. The game looks great. I think it's going to be a hit. I think this game is going to do way better than the original Dragon's Dogma, and I'm excited for it because we can use more cool fantasy games,
For sure. Um, our last item that was revealed was the Until Dawn remaster. Um, it's coming to PS5 and finally PC in 2024. Um, Super stoked for people who haven't played this one or haven't played it in a long time. A little bit upset because my girlfriend and I just played through this one maybe a month ago. So I'm just like, why now, Sony? Why?
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's a bummer, but exciting for me. I never got to play Until Dawn, and I love these kind of games. Some of my favorite games are stuff like Heavy Rain, the very narrative heavy, choice driven. Anyone could die within your party or your group of playable characters based on choices or mistakes that you make. I love those kind of experiences, so I am very excited that this one. I've had the original version on deck on my PS5, and I've actually downloaded it twice and then removed it. I've been meaning to play it over like the last couple of years, so now's what better time? So I'm excited.
Yeah, just wait for the remastered. I
Yeah.
mean, I think you and I talked about this earlier because you saw it and felt like it looked kind of similar to what you remember seeing when you saw it earlier. But I will say, having played it just like a month ago, the visual fidelity does look quite a bit better.
Right.
This was one of Supermassive's first forays into this, and I feel like the motion capture looks better, the scenery looks better. When I was playing it with my girlfriend, I felt like I was like, man, it looks like there's like an opaque, like kind of like mirror or like fog over everything. This it looks a lot better. So super excited for that. I probably will play through it again. One last thing that was announced at the State of Play is that on February 6th, we are getting a Final Fantasy Rebirth State of Play, which super cool for people who want to watch that. I am already 100% sold on this game. I don't want any more information. I just want to go in, with what I've seen already. But like, super cool that Sony's doing that, like on a separate thing, kind of almost like the Nintendo Directs focused on like a single game. So yeah.
I've got a question for you about that. And I know this is a Sony episode, but do you think there's a chance there's maybe a Nintendo Direct on February 6th?
Oh my gosh. I mean, Nintendo does announce like a couple days beforehand,
Yeah,
so
it's like
there's a good chance.
sometimes it's the night before. Sometimes it'll be 9 p.m. and they'll be like, "There's a Nintendo Direct tomorrow at 6 a.m."
I know, it's crazy.
No, I think there's a high likelihood we'll get a direct on maybe a Wednesday or Thursday next week, but that would be funny. I'm really excited for this. I know I've been on this Final Fantasy VII high after beating Remake and playing through Integrate and completing that. This right now is my most anticipated game. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited just to see more. I don't want too much spoiled for me, but
Mhm.
I want just a little tease of it just to get me excited for launch.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I've seen all I need to see. I
Sure.
just want the game in my hands. Um, yeah, I mean, we could speculate about the Nintendo Direct, but I mean, didn't they do one on Valentine's Day one year?
I think they've done it on a February 14th before.
Yeah. So
But yeah, I mean, traditionally, sometimes there's been a direct in January. They're almost always in February. So it's probably 1 to 2 weeks. But I joke about getting a direct that day because for you in the audience, you might not know. There's been like this funny thing over the last 2-3 years where every time Nintendo announces a direct, Sony announces they're doing a state of play right afterwards for whatever reason. So I'm like, oh, maybe we'll get a direct that day. Maybe Nintendo will turn the tables.
that'd be a sweet day.
Yeah, I mean, you had it on your birthday once. What a birthday that was.
That was a great state of play and a great
Direct.
Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, but cool. Yeah, so all in all, great freaking state of play. Like this is kind of what I needed from Sony because I've been feeling a little bit down in the dumps. I'd really like to see some cool first party stuff come from them, but in the meantime, I feel happy knowing that I've got more than enough cool and possibly phenomenal games to play throughout this year on my
One
PS5.
Yeah, one last thing.
Yeah.
Where the hell is Little Devil Inside? Where is
I
it?
know.
Where is it? What
It's
happened?
not real. It's
I
not
know.
real, dude. Um, but with that being said, Colin, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
You want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
All right, let's do it. Do you have a prediction to start us off with? And for you guys who don't know, Let's Get Nuts is a segment where we basically just throw out crazy predictions. They're probably not coming true, but they could. Wouldn't that
Yeah.
be nuts?
All right. So, my first one's kind of a twofer. Okay. So, I think, Sony Santa Monica has had, like a year, well, I guess like a year and a month since Valhalla released. And, they haven't really announced their next entry in the God of War series. And I know they're a larger studio. Um, I think that, I predict, it's my next prediction, that we will get a full scale God of War, the original God of War, the like Greek one, remake in the
Mm.
2018 style.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes, I think that would be amazing. I really want that. I feel like they could give Kratos a lot more character. And I think that the tale that they tell in the Greek series is really good. It's just Kratos wasn't great until 2018. And then they will also announce their next game in the series, their next continuation. And I think the next entry is going to Egypt. So, yes, like
It's a good
uh,
choice.
they need to take on that pantheon. I think Egypt has some of the coolest gods.
Hmm.
So I think it would be really cool. So
Yeah, that would
that's
be super cool.
my first nuts prediction.
That was nuts. I've got a
All
two
right.
for you as well. And this one I'm pulling off on the fly, but Naughty Dog is going to announce The Last of Us 3. To no surprise, Last of Us is, it's on like a conveyor belt with Sony. But in a surprise twist, we're going to find out that Naughty Dog has also been working on something else. And that is a beloved classic IP from the developers, Jak and Daxter. A new
Ooh,
entry in Jak and Daxter. It's open world. It's deciding to tackle that Breath of the Wild open air gameplay formula.
nice. Do they rework Jack into the Nathan Drake type character?
Oh, totally. Totally.
I like that. I would love to see that franchise
Yeah.
see new light. Yeah, I kind of miss like I feel like Insomniac's the only one holding down the mascot character with the
Hmm.
Ratchet games, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
And
that's
again,
all.
this is a very nuts prediction, but and I'm not the biggest Naughty Dog fan. I don't like Uncharted was cool. Well, for the first few, I don't think it was like God's gift to gaming or anything like that. And Last of Us is not my cup of tea, but there was a time when Naughty Dog had a lot of like cool, creative fun and charm and character, and Jack and Daxter's beloved. Man, if they even if it was a reboot that they gave like the Toys for Bob treatment. Sorry, Toys for Bob just went through some layoffs. Another sad story. I don't know if you heard about that one. But like the Toys for Bob treatment, like how Crash Bandicoot got fully remastered beautifully, and how Ratchet and Clank got the first game got a beautiful remaster. So I'd love to see Jak and Daxter come back. They're great characters. It's a fun, unique world. I'd love to see that on a modern PlayStation 5 engine. So that's my nuts prediction.
All right. My next one is this isn't super nuts, but Sucker Punch has been quiet for a while. Everyone is predicting Ghost of Tsushima 2.
Mm.
And, you know, like they haven't announced the title of this next one, but I don't think it's going to be Ghost of Tsushima. Like
Mm.
they already Jin Sakai's story already kind of wrapped up very neatly. Like the ending of that, like I don't know why they want to touch the ending of that. The ending of that game is amazing. I think that they might go kind of like the Assassin's Creed route and like do a different city or different, location. So like I don't have I don't have one like but they could do like Ghost of Tokyo, Ghost
Mm.
of Hiroshima, like they could expand that into like it doesn't have to be Jin Sakai. It could be a different character each time.
Right.
And like they can build on what they did with Tsushima. But like I just don't see the reason to return to that same island again, and the same characters. Like their stories were all really well and beautifully told. I
Mm.
just think it would make more sense to do something like a new location. So
Right.
that's my prediction for like what Sucker Punch is doing. They are working
Yeah.
on Ghost of Question Mark.
Yeah, I think that's a great prediction. I don't even think that. Yeah, I don't think that's that nuts. I think that's a great prediction. And yeah, like you said, that's like the style of Assassin's Creed or even Final Fantasy and Zelda, where basically each entry, like Ghost of, could be the franchise, and each one is just a new legend or a new tale about whoever the protagonist is. That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, doesn't even have to be Japan. Could
Yeah.
be anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Um,
Yeah, I mean, they could even do a Mongol, like you fought the Mongols. They could even do a Mongol spin. They could do a story from the Mongol side, which would be interesting considering that they were an enemy
yeah.
for that first
China's
game.
China's not a often explored area too, like Mongolia
Yeah,
and China. Like I feel like all we've gotten is like a mobile Assassin's Creed game
right.
and then like Pandaria. Otherwise, like China, doesn't see much light. So yeah.
Right.
Do you have
All
any other
right.
picks?
Let me think real quick. I feel like I had a few. It's hard with Sony because like their first party stuff has been so slim pickings lately. Um, let's see. I'm gonna say, man, how can I make this nuts? Um, I'm gonna kind of cheat, and I'm gonna say that Sucker Punch
Mhm.
isn't gonna announce Ghost of Tsushima next, or Ghost of whatever next. And this is kind of stupid based on my last prediction, but I think what we're gonna see from them is a stealth espionage game starring a very beloved character who's very sly and a little bit Cooper, if you know what I mean. sorry. Yeah, new Sly Cooper. We got a Sly Cooper tease in Ghost of Tsushima. You got Sly's outfit. It was a trophy in the game. So I'm gonna say Sly Cooper's coming.
I'd
I
love
think
that.
I think it's gonna tide us over. I think that maybe they'll. I could totally see your prediction being a thing.
Mhm.
And maybe to tide us over, they're going super ambitious with the next Ghost game. In the meantime, they've got a chunk of their team making a brand new Sly game.
See, some people like Ratchet, some people like Jack and Daxter. My personal favorite is Sly Cooper. I love the Sly Cooper series so much. The variation on the gameplay in those games is just so much fun. The
Yep.
platforming's great. Um, yeah, I'd love a new Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
So I love that prediction.
Yeah.
I have one more for you.
Nail us.
Um, so Gorilla has done 2 games in the Horizon series, and then they worked on that VR game. I think that they are going to take a break from Horizon, and I think that we might get a new Killzone.
Mm.
Um, I know Killzone Shadowfall wasn't the greatest game. I mean, I feel like a lot of people played it because it was the only thing on the PS4 when it released. Um, but I think that Shadowfall had some cool ideas. Like, there is a part early in that game that's like very gives you like open world vibes, tackle this mission like any way you can. And then the game eventually devolves back into like running through corridors
Right.
and but I think if they like take what they've learned from the like making the open worlds in Horizon and doing all that work, I think they could
Mm-hmm.
make a really cool open world like shooting game in that Killzone world, which
Mm.
also has like really good story,
Sure.
surprisingly. So yeah, that's my final prediction is that Gorilla is going to give us a new Killzone game. Remember, these are all
I
nuts
like it.
predictions.
Yeah, they're
So
nuts. All right, I've got one more for you.
okay.
It's a nut. This one's nuts, by the way. Um, so my next prediction is, I know Sony announced, I think it was like almost a couple years ago now, that they were working on 10 games of service within the next 5 years that they wanted to come out. We're obviously not getting 10 games of service from Sony in that time. And I have a feeling with a lot of the negativity surrounding games of service. I mean, look at what's happened to Suicide Squad right now. That game's getting demolished by fans, people demanding refunds. Um, I think Sony backpedaled on that. I was saying I think Sony backpedaled on that commitment to 10 games of service. And I know Bungie is working on a game right now, but Destiny 2 is wrapping up, if I believe, what's supposed to be its farewell DLC.
The
So
final shape.
the final shape. And so my prediction is that Sony still wants that killer games of service, and Sony's going to be helping fund Bungie to make Destiny 3. And from what we knew before the acquisition, that Bungie decided not to do a Destiny 3 and to just make a roadmap for 10 years with Destiny 2 or whatever the roadmap was. I don't think so. I think they're gonna do Destiny 3, and I think that's gonna be Sony's go-to games of service. Like, this is gonna be our big hit, and I think it will be multi-platform, but I think it's gonna be one of the first on PlayStation. I don't think Sony's gonna want to cut it off for profit reasons from, having it on the other service, but they will do exclusive Sony content, and it will be first on Sony.
Get the Spider-Man suit and
Yeah.
yeah, I think they're destined to do that.
Some might think so.
Yeah.
But all right, guys. Well, that was Collin and I getting a little nuts for you. Hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please, if you guys haven't, check out Collin's channel, Any Games Necessary. It's linked in the description box below. We discussed his review a little bit for Silent Hill Short Message, but go check it out. Send him some love. Don't forget to follow me at GameBird Classic, my channel. You're already here. You know where to find it. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Collin, do you want to add anything before we go?
Yeah, if you hated this podcast, don't forget to hit the thumbs down button and subscribe to see what we say next.
That's right, and we'll see you all on the next GameBird Weekly. Peace!